Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. Michael Baldwin knows better than anyone that when Victor Newman praises you, it's rarely a blessing, it's a test. And yet, as Victor's steely gaze softens just enough to offer approval for Michael's unwavering loyalty, Michael plays his role flawlessly, nodding with humility while his stomach twists in knots. This is the moment his entire risky plan hinges on. Michael has made the calculated decision to trick the most dangerous man in Genoa City, and to do that, he must become the perfect Newman soldier, obedient, unquestioning, and seemingly grateful. Victor's belief that Michael is fully under his control is exactly what gives Michael the opening he needs to quietly maneuver the AI program out of Victor's grasp. Every word Michael speaks is measured, every expression rehearsed, because one wrong move could cost him not just his career, but his life as he knows it. Victor, pleased and visibly impressed, even goes so far as to reward Michael, an act that stings far more than any threat ever could. The guilt creeps in fast. Michael has spent years navigating moral gray areas, but lying directly to Victor's face while accepting his praise feels like crossing a line he can never uncross. Still, Michael steels himself with the belief that the ends justify the means. Victor with unchecked AI power is a nightmare scenario, and if deception is the only way to stop it, then Michael will wear the mask a little longer. Despite the pressure crushing down on him, Michael allows himself a flicker of confidence. The plan is working, at least for now. Victor is convinced, maybe more than ever, that Michael is firmly on Team Newman. That illusion gives Michael access, leverage, and just enough breathing room to keep his hands clean while everyone else plays dirty. But the danger isn't just Victor. The real threat lies in the web of consequences Michael has already set in motion. His earlier warning to Victor about Jack Abbott's precautions at Jabot may have been meant as a strategic nudge, but it spiraled into something far worse. Newman Media's calculated strike against Jack, the sabotage of the Abbott Communications launch party, it all traces back to Michael, whether he intended it or not. Now, those ripples are threatening to crash back onto shore in a way Michael may not be able to control. That's where Nikki Newman comes in, and Nikki is done staying silent. Burdened by guilt and loyalty in equal measure, Nikki finally decides Jack deserves the truth. When she sits across from Jack Abbott, her expression says it all before she even opens her mouth. This isn't just idle gossip or vague concern, this is a confession. Nikki spills a secret that could change everything, updating Jack on critical developments and possibly revealing that Michael tipped Victor off about the safeguards Jack had quietly put in place. If Nikki does indeed confirm Michael's involvement, the betrayal will hit Jack like a gut punch. Jack has long trusted Michael as an ally, a legal mind who could be counted on even when the lines between Newman and Abbott blurred. Hearing that Michael may have played a role, direct or indirect, in Newman Media's attack could shatter that trust beyond repair. Jack's anger won't just be personal, it'll be strategic. Diane Jenkins Abbott has been urging Jack to lean on Michael, to believe that Michael's heart is ultimately in the right place. But Nikki's revelation could make Diane's plea sound dangerously naive. Jack may start to see Michael not as a conflicted double agent, but as a liability, someone who can't be trusted when the stakes are highest. And yet, in the twisted chess match that defines Genoa City, even Jack's fury could end up serving Michael's long game. If Jack confronts Michael publicly, especially in front of Victor, it might reinforce Victor's belief that Michael has burned his bridges with the Abbotts entirely. That kind of fallout could paradoxically strengthen Michael's position as Victor's trusted lieutenant, pushing him even closer to the inner circle he needs access to. It's a dangerous gamble, but one that might be necessary for Michael to finish what he started. As Nikki leaves Jack with more questions than answers, the emotional toll is clear. She's torn between her past with Jack, her present with Victor, and the growing realization that the men she loves are once again on a collision course, with Michael caught right in the middle. Nikki knows that truth has consequences, and by opening her mouth, she may have just lit the fuse on another Abbott-Newman war. But keeping quiet was no longer an option. Secrets in Genoa City have a way of exploding eventually, and Nikki would rather control the blast radius than be caught in the rubble. Meanwhile, across town, Claire Newman is fighting a very different kind of battle, but one no less personal. Still reeling from Kyle Abbott's cold finality and the way things imploded with Audra Charles, Claire refuses to be painted as the villain in her own story. When she vents to Holden Novak, she doesn't sugarcoat a thing. Yes, she threw that drink in Audra's face, and no, she doesn't regret it. Claire justifies her actions with raw honesty, insisting that Audra crossed a line and that sometimes standing up for yourself means making a scene. To Claire, that splash of liquid wasn't just an impulsive outburst, it was a declaration. A refusal to be pushed, manipulated, or humiliated any longer. Claire also defends something even more fundamental, her right to put herself first. For too long, she's felt trapped by expectations, by Kyle's impatience, by the pressure to define her romantic future on someone else's timeline. Kyle may have made the breakup permanent, but Claire isn't about to let that define her worth or dictate her next move. She tells Holden that exploring her romantic options isn't selfish, it's necessary. She needs time, space, and freedom to figure out who she is without constantly worrying about pleasing someone else. Kyle's frustration, while understandable, only reinforced Claire's belief that trusting her own instincts is the only way forward. As Claire speaks, it becomes clear that she's shedding the last remnants of the woman who always tried to smooth things over. This is a Claire who is done apologizing for having feelings, for reacting when pushed too far, for wanting more than what's been offered. Her confidence may be shaky, but it's growing, and that makes her unpredictable. Whether Kyle realizes it or not, the door he slammed shut may lead Claire toward a future that doesn't include him at all. And in Genoa City, that kind of independence can be both empowering and dangerous. Taken together, these three storylines paint a vivid picture of a city on the brink. Michael is walking a tightrope stretched over Victor Newman's wrath, convinced that deception is the only way to prevent catastrophe. Nikki is breaking her silence, knowing full well that honesty could reignite old wars and create new enemies. And Claire is standing her ground, choosing self-respect over compromise even as her personal life fractures. Each decision, each confession, each act of defiance sends shockwaves through Genoa City, and none of them exist in isolation. The question now isn't whether things will blow up, it's when. Will Michael's scheme succeed before Victor senses the betrayal beneath the loyalty? Will Jack use Nikki's information to strike back, or will he play along just long enough to protect his own interests? And will Claire's fierce independence lead her to empowerment, or will it cost her more than she's prepared to lose? One thing is certain, in the world of the young and the restless, loyalty is fragile, secrets are weapons, and every move comes with a price. And this week, everyone is about to pay. Michael tricks Victor, Nikki spills to Jack, Claire's defense. Victor Newman will be duped by Michael Baldwin, and Nikki Newman will spill the beans on Jack Abbott. Fans of YNR can anticipate the following: Claire Newman will defend herself as well. Michael will begin by initiating a risky plot. Michael will have to be sneaky about it now that he has decided to fool Victor and steal the AI program. That means Michael will have to play the part of a loyal Newman soldier. It looks like Michael's plan will be off to a nice start on Tuesday's show since Victor will praise him for his devotion. Michael's going to get a reward, so he may feel a little guilty about lying to Victor's face. At the same time, Michael will feel confident that his scheme's going to work, just as long as he can keep his hands clean in the midst of all the deception. Over with Nikki, she'll reveal a secret and give Jack updates on some big news in the process. Will Nikki reveal that Michael tipped Victor off to the precautions Jack was taking at Jabot? Michael inadvertently led to Newman Media's attack on Jack and the Abbott Communications launch party derailment. If Nikki rats Michael out, that could leave Jack feeling like Michael can't be trusted despite Diane Jenkins Abbott's plea for his help. Of course, if Jack blasts Michael in front of Victor, it might work in Michael's favor. It could help Michael sell himself as a loyal Newman servant and put him in a better position to dupe Victor. She will quickly come to her own defense over with Claire. Claire may justify throwing that drink in Audra Charles's face as she complains to Holden Novak. Claire might also defend her need to put herself first and explore her romantic options on her own time. Claire will continue to rely on her own instincts regarding her love life, despite Kyle Abbott's complete lack of patience and the fact that he has essentially made the breakup permanent. As the fallout from Nikki's revelation begins to spread, Michael Baldwin feels the walls closing in faster than he anticipated. Victor Newman's praise still echoes in his ears, but now it sounds less like validation and more like a ticking clock. Every step Michael takes inside Newman Enterprises feels heavier, as though the building itself knows he's lying. Victor's trust is a loaded weapon, one that can turn lethal the second Victor senses betrayal. And Michael knows Victor better than anyone. Victor doesn't forgive deception, he annihilates it. Still, Michael presses forward, convincing himself that the danger is worth it. The AI program in Victor's hands represents unchecked power, power that could destroy not just the Abbotts, but anyone who dares oppose him. Michael has already crossed the point of no return. The only way out now is through. Victor, meanwhile, is sharper than ever. Though he openly praises Michael's loyalty, there's something probing beneath his approval, a subtle watchfulness that makes Michael's pulse spike. Victor begins assigning Michael more responsibility, drawing him closer into the core of Newman operations. On the surface, it looks like trust. In reality, it's a stress test. Victor wants to see how far Michael will go, how much he'll sacrifice, and whether his devotion cracks under pressure. Each new task forces Michael to juggle conflicting loyalties while keeping his conscience buried deep. The reward Victor offers, greater access, influence, and protection, feels like a golden cage. Michael accepts it with a steady smile, knowing full well that the deeper he goes, the harder it will be to escape unscathed. At the same time, Jack Abbott is reeling from Nikki's confession. Alone in his office, he replays every interaction with Michael over the past few weeks, scrutinizing every word, every glance, every hesitation. The realization that Michael may have inadvertently, or deliberately, helped Victor strike at Abbott Communications cuts deeply. Jack feels betrayed not just as a businessman, but as a friend. Michael has stood by Jack during some of his darkest moments, and now Jack is forced to confront the possibility that Michael has been playing both sides all along. Diane tries to calm him, urging caution, reminding Jack that Michael often operates in shades of gray for reasons that aren't immediately visible. But Jack's trust has been shaken, and once doubt takes root, it spreads fast. Jack begins to consider his next move carefully. Confronting Michael privately could give him answers, but confronting him publicly, especially in Victor's presence, could serve a larger purpose. Jack knows Victor thrives on loyalty theater. If Jack lashes out at Michael in front of Victor, it could reinforce the illusion that Michael has fully defected to the Newman side. That realization gives Jack pause. Is Michael truly a traitor, or is he playing a deeper game? Jack doesn't have proof yet, only Nikki's words and his own instincts. And in Genoa City, instincts can be as dangerous as facts. Jack decides to watch, to wait, and to let Michael reveal his true allegiance through his actions. Nikki, for her part, feels the weight of what she set in motion. Confiding in Jack brought temporary relief, but now the consequences loom large. Victor senses her unease almost immediately. He questions her gently at first, testing her defenses, but Nikki knows this dance all too well. Victor always knows when something's off. She deflects, changes the subject, and hides behind half-truths, but the tension between them thickens. Nikki worries that if Victor discovers she shared sensitive information with Jack, it could destroy what little peace remains in their marriage. Yet a part of her refuses to regret telling the truth. She's tired of watching Victor bulldoze everyone in his path while she stays silent. Nikki may not be ready to challenge Victor openly, but she's no longer willing to protect him at all costs. As Newman and Abbott tensions quietly escalate, Claire Newman finds herself standing at a crossroads. Her conversation with Holden Novak lingers in her mind, reinforcing her resolve to stop apologizing for who she is. Claire knows the narrative being whispered around town paints her as impulsive, dramatic, and reckless, especially after the incident with Audra Charles. But Claire refuses to let Audra control the story. In her mind, that drink toss wasn't about jealousy or insecurity, it was about reclaiming her dignity. Audra crossed boundaries, poked at raw wounds, and underestimated Claire's breaking point. Claire won't pretend otherwise, and she won't shrink herself to make others comfortable anymore. Kyle Abbott's absence only fuels Claire's determination. His impatience, his ultimatum, and his final decision to walk away have forced Claire to confront a painful truth. Kyle wanted certainty on his terms, not hers. And while that hurts, it also liberates her. Claire begins to question whether her relationship with Kyle was ever truly balanced, or if she'd been bending herself into shapes that no longer fit. Talking it through with Holden helps Claire see that choosing herself isn't selfish, it's survival. Genoa City devours people who don't stand their ground, and Claire is done being devoured. Unbeknownst to Claire, her growing independence doesn't go unnoticed. Whispers ripple through Newman circles, and Victor hears more than people realize. Claire's defiance, her refusal to fall in line emotionally or socially, registers as both a liability and a potential asset. Victor respects strength, even when it frustrates him. He begins to see Claire not as a fragile figure needing protection, but as a wild card whose choices could shift alliances in unexpected ways. Whether that works in Claire's favor or not remains to be seen. Back at Newman Enterprises, Michael's plan inches closer to its critical phase. He identifies a narrow window, one moment when Victor's attention will be divided, when systems will be vulnerable just long enough to reroute control of the AI program. It's a surgical move, requiring perfect timing and absolute discretion. One wrong keystroke, one suspicious delay, and Victor will know. Michael prepares meticulously, rehearsing contingencies and exits, but doubt gnaws at him. He's lying to Victor, risking Jack's trust, and potentially endangering Nikki, all for a plan that may still fail. The weight of it all presses down on him, but backing out now would only make things worse. As fate would have it, Jack chooses that same moment to strike, at least verbally. When he crosses paths with Michael in public, Jack doesn't hold back. His anger is sharp, his disappointment unmistakable. He accuses Michael of betrayal, of choosing Victor over the Abbotts, of abandoning principles for power. The confrontation is loud enough to draw attention, including Victor's. Michael, stunned but quick on his feet, fires back defensively, playing the role of the loyal Newman soldier perfectly. He doesn't deny Jack's accusations outright, he leans into them, letting Victor see a man who has burned bridges and chosen sides. Victor watches closely, satisfaction flickering behind his eyes. To Victor, this confirms everything he wants to believe. The confrontation leaves Jack conflicted and Michael shaken. Alone afterward, Michael wonders if Jack's outburst was genuine or strategic, or perhaps both. Either way, the damage is done. The line between truth and performance has blurred completely. Michael has never felt more alone. Meanwhile, Nikki hears about the confrontation and realizes just how volatile the situation has become. Her fear intensifies, not just for Michael, but for everyone caught in Victor's orbit. She senses a storm coming, one that could tear apart families and businesses alike. Nikki considers confiding in someone else, but stops herself. Trust is a rare commodity in Genoa City, and she's already risked too much. As for Claire, her story begins to intersect with the larger chaos. Kyle, watching from a distance, starts to realize he may have underestimated her. Claire's confidence, her refusal to chase him, and her willingness to stand alone unsettle him. He wonders if ending things so decisively was a mistake, but pride keeps him from reaching out. Claire, sensing his hesitation, refuses to make the first move. For the first time, the power dynamic has shifted, and Claire intends to keep it that way. By the end of the week, Genoa City feels poised on the edge of collapse. Michael's deception is nearing its climax. Nikki's truth threatens to unravel her marriage. Jack is torn between vengeance and strategy. And Claire, standing tall amid emotional wreckage, is carving out a future that answers to no one but herself. Every secret is tightening like a noose, every alliance straining under the weight of mistrust. And as always in this city, the question isn't who will fall, but how many will be dragged down with them when everything finally explodes. The tension in Genoa City doesn't dissipate after Jack's public confrontation with Michael, it multiplies. Whispers spread through Newman Enterprises and Jabot alike, and everyone senses that something far bigger is unfolding beneath the surface. Michael Baldwin keeps his head down, but the weight of the performance is starting to show. Playing Victor Newman's loyal soldier requires constant vigilance, and every compliment Victor offers now feels like a veiled warning. Michael knows Victor is enjoying this, watching Jack and Michael turn on each other, seeing alliances fracture in real time. To Victor, chaos is confirmation of control. Victor wastes no time capitalizing on the moment. He summons Michael for a private meeting, praising how decisively Michael handled Jack's accusations. Victor frames the confrontation as proof that Michael has finally accepted reality, that loyalty to the Newmans always comes at a price. As Victor speaks, Michael nods, offering measured agreement while his mind races. Victor's tone is almost paternal, but the message underneath is unmistakable: betrayal will not be tolerated. Michael leaves the meeting with new access, new authority, and a renewed sense of danger. Victor is drawing him closer than ever, and there may not be another opportunity to act. At Jabot, Jack wrestles with the consequences of his outburst. Diane can see the conflict eating away at him. Jack hates that he publicly attacked Michael, especially without definitive proof of his intentions. Yet part of him believes it was necessary, both to protect Abbott interests and to test Michael's reaction. Jack replays the confrontation in his mind, noticing how carefully Michael chose his words, how he never truly denied anything. That ambiguity unsettles Jack. He begins to suspect that Michael is walking a razor's edge, balancing loyalty and betrayal in equal measure. Whether that makes Michael a hero or a threat remains unclear. Nikki Newman feels the strain intensify at home. Victor's focus on Michael and Jack has only sharpened his instincts, and Nikki knows it's only a matter of time before he circles back to her. She struggles with guilt, not just for what she told Jack, but for what she hasn't told Victor. Nikki has spent years justifying silence as self-preservation, but now it feels like complicity. Watching Victor maneuver Michael like a chess piece reminds Nikki of how dangerous Victor becomes when he feels invincible. She quietly wonders whether stopping him will require more than whispered warnings behind closed doors.